Oh, sorry, I forgot I was on mute then. Just turn the mute on. Yep, we are definitely live now. Hi, YouTube. Nothing in particular, really. Just my general thoughts, just what I think, and not just what I think and why I have the opinions that I have. Just like anybody else, but uh, going through my from my life experiences, especially when it comes to certain issues and certain topics. A lot of things. Well, that applies to most people. That somewhat their experiences shape their opinions and their personality, even to some extent. And the more you think about things, and the more that you judge people as an individual, and also don't just judge people by face value, which we're all guilty of that to some extent, and will continue to be from time to time, and still are. But a lot of people, they get perceptions about people, whether they're right or they're wrong. They can be often incorrect. A lot of what they think about people, and also they'll put two and two together, and at the very best come up with five. So just drawing their own conclusions just based on this and based on that factor. And a lot of people as well don't realise that people are also a victim of their circumstances as well. And a number of people don't know people's circumstances to even begin to compare their circumstances to other people's. And the other thing about online is that it's all about egos with people, and not just about egos, but about who is the worst person at the time, who is the most effective scumbag or the most effective good person, even on a positive note. And it's also about survival of the fittest. And you see that throughout history, whether it be animals that are commanding other animals, that one that has to be the boss. And you see it not just with online personas, but also in real life as well. Hi, Kimmy. Oh, not too bad, thanks. Yeah, and, doing a bit better. Doing better again recently. Thank you for asking, my friend. Hugs to you as well. Hope you're doing all right. Hope your weekend was nice as well. And yeah, you know, certainly doing better in general than I was before. Yeah, thanks, my friend. I hope you're well, and my cat's well as well. Bless her, little Jasmine. Yeah, she's still very good for her age. She's still got a lot of energy and runs around even at night. Oh, that's good. Yeah, I'm fine, thanks. Oh, you're welcome, Kim. Glad you're doing fine. Just this live is just about because earlier on I had to leave my last one because just nothing would upload like it doesn't at times. I just see now. I've been trying. I'm trying. I've been. I've got some content that might upload for later on or another day, depending when I'm on when I do a live next. But I thought at least because same as earlier, in the last few streams, it's been working where most of the time it hasn't cut out when I've been talking, but just when I upload a video, it's just been very slow StreamYards. But I know it is known for being like that with most people. It's worse than the other one that people use, which I never used before, the Google Meets. That's right, and I think there's some other app that you can use for live streaming on YouTube and possibly on other platforms as well. But yeah, StreamYard, it has been a right nightmare recently. I don't know quite why. It's always been a bit so with me, even when I first used it. On my old account, But just recently, the last sort of 2 or 3 weeks, it's just got a mind of its own, and it doesn't matter what app I use, what video recorders I use for my content. It doesn't usually make any difference, Whereas, and also I cleared my cache as well, so I thought maybe it was a bit overloaded, with memory, with data. So I cleared the cache and any other memory as well. My YouTube Studio library, because that was quite full, the memory at one point. Oh, that's right. That's a pain. Think you have to pay for the others though, don't you? Yeah, that's true, Kimmy. You do. If you want more storage, I've got the basic paid one at the moment instead of the free one, which you get still, you get a little bit with the free one, but I'm just on like the basic one, which you get quite a lot more, and then you get like quite a lot more backgrounds is the main thing you get with the paid version, with the one that I'm on. And then I'm not so sure with the next one up, the more expensive one, if how much more you get with that. But apparently you get quite a lot more with that. But as a lot of people agree that it's only worth paying for some things, obviously, because some things people just don't use. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, it's with this one you get quite a lot of, you can change your background. We've got more options of backgrounds, ones that are already on there, and then you can add your own as well, your own ones. And yeah, there's still quite a few ones I haven't checked out yet. The ones that that are already made up for you. And I've been editing some of my pictures. You don't really want to pay if you don't have to. Exactly. Oh, definitely. There's a lot of things out there that people pay for that they don't even have to. They don't always realise. Just things per se in life. Not just where apps are concerned and that. There's it just takes a bit of time and that, just doing a bit of digging. And even on YouTube, there, even like years ago, there'd be like videos on there where there'd be like almost like a legalized kind of scam, where you could get something that was as good on, say, like a free app, whatever the app is, but you could get like a free service on there, or you could get like out of things that you do have to pay for, you would get something cheaper, compared to, say, like another app where you had to pay quite a bit of money, just to get like a basic feature, for your social media. And there's basically like there's a lot of money saving tips out there sometimes, and yeah, there's a lot. It's so easy for like people to even be like, well, as good as conned. I say not conned as such, but taken advantage of. But just done the legal way. Yeah. But just like going back to my thoughts just about life and how people, have their own personality, and how people judge people sometimes, in the wrong way, and they think that they know them more sometimes than they do. And that's in the real world, so to speak, using that expression, like offline as well, not just online. And people they judge people too much for the wrong reasons, and they don't always use their gut instinct, so they will just go, oh, this person, he's got this job, or he's had a career, or she's had a career, that was her career, or this was his career, and they're roughly this age, and they haven't had children by a certain age, or they've got this illness wrong with them, or they got that mental illness wrong with them. So, and they follow this religion or they follow that religion, so their personality has got to be this way or that way. They generalize and put people into kind of little categories. Like, like say, all Virgos have got to fit into this category, or all people that are middle aged, their personality has to be this way or that way. And there has to be a underlying reason for that, or if somebody, is an alcoholic, it's because they automatically had a bad life, or they got a drug problem, or what have you. Yeah, that's true, Ozzy. Unfortunately, all tend to do that. Exactly. Yeah, very true. You've been watching any streams, Ozzy? I haven't actually much recently, no. I did before a bit. I used to catch up on the ones that people keep up for the replays. I've been on elsewhere some of the time online, and then some of the time I've just been, taking longer breaks and still been sleeping quite a lot because the medication, since I've been on some of the new medications, a couple of new medications, and then some of the medications that I've been on for years and will probably be on the rest of my life because, out of, the medication that, because some of the medication ones got the best record, for my condition. So some I'll probably mostly be on for life, like my medication for my high blood pressure. Beta blockers, they may review them, or at least the dose they might review. But the losartan I'm on, they're a type of blood pressure medication that they, as well as relaxing the actual heart itself, the muscle, the actual heart, they help the blood vessels that connect to the heart. They help to lower the blood pressure. And mine is in a nutshell is mostly like hereditary and somewhat stress related because I've always been a highly strung personality. But then I'm a Gemini, so without generalising, like us Geminis, we can be quite highly strung. As I remember, you're an Aries, Kimmy, and Aries, the opposite. They're usually quite confident and outgoing, which I know you've all, seemed like quite outgoing, and also quite calm. But like all signs, they can have like they're nervous. I think because every human being is nervous about something, so that would be like all birth signs to some extent. And even people that are like very, very calm, like unusually calm, that are just cool in a crisis, they can have one side to them that's maybe very highly strung, very nervous. And people like myself that are still more highly strung than average, they can have quite a calm side to them as well. So, like, certain things I can be very calm about, and there's no always rhyme or reason. It's just some things people, some things you just are, you can be calm about, the same as people can be good at certain things as well, even things that they haven't tried before, that have never tried once in their life. And sometimes things that you like in life, we can be absolutely crap at. It's just, it is what it is. I guess that's the best description. You don't always even know the reasons why for some things in life. They kind of speak for themselves almost sometimes. It's pretty dead on this side of YouTube now, isn't it? Oh, it is. Yeah, compared to a while ago, it has been for a little while now, really, isn't it, Kimmy? It's been like headed that way, and then or sometimes like when people go live, there'd be like maybe it'd go like the other way, and then you have like maybe two or three people going live all at the same time, or in a short amount of time from each other. It's and I think because of like how toxic it's got, that's the main reason still. And for a while, like it had done some time ago on YouTube, things calmed down with people, and then people got drawn into things whether they wanted to or not. People get drawn into other people's battles, and then when that wasn't happening, just all the aggro, between individuals and groups, it would all blow up again. Yeah, that's true, Ozzy. Unfortunately, we all tend to do that. Yeah, it's all politics on here now. I find it boring. It is, and not just the fact it is. It gets very boring, like anything. Like when something's just one dimensional, it's just one topic, one subject, and one area of the same subject. When there's so many areas, even of politics, even. But all people are focusing on is just race, Tommy Robinson, and it's mainly race and a few issues here and there, but it's mainly just race and religion. They're the only kind of things that dominate everything else. And as the point that, Teddy Pom, Moon has made a good point there. The same as well. A lot of people, have, but she's made that point more than once, is that, of all the issues that are affecting us, even out of politics, that things like, apart from like the digital ID that's just came in, not many people are even touching that, apart from a few people on YouTube that are really, going to town with it. But most people not even bothered about that, So they don't realise that there's more to politics even than going on about there's just letting where some issues just have the monopoly on everything and everybody else. And I don't hear anybody going on about animal welfare, animal rights. I don't hear people going on about the cost of living even anymore. Whereas a while ago, a number of people did highlight that somewhat. Even were highlighting it intermittently, like on and off. But apart from a really big up to Moon there, and Easy as well, he has to some extent. He has mentioned that point. Is that they've when they've been when they've been live together, obviously on the Life Hut channel when Moon's been over there, she's brought up quite a number of different points, very interesting points, and she's made the point that it's just all race and religion, and it's just got gutty, and there's been nobody really tried to find any common ground, and as Den Terragon's made that point that that people, if you can try to unite where you can, you still do that, even if people where it is necessary, and where it has been necessary to argue to try and win people over about the things that we all fight each other on or disagree with, at least, you can still do that, but still concentrate on the positives as well. But but where people can't do both, you've always got to try to unite, because where you bang your head against a brick wall, where it's pointless, it's not logical to keep arguing with somebody, because where you can never change somebody's mind, and never could even change their mind at all, even to partly agree with you about a particular subject or belief system, then it's a pointless exercise after a while. I know there's difference in patience and patience, and although in life you have to bite the bullet sometimes, and sometimes just patience alone can make a difference in how successful we are in life, not just when it comes to try to change people's hearts and minds, but just in the things we do in life. Perseverance, is a big thing, and patience, and basically, and also as well as other things in life that come into it to help achieve things in life, whether it be just for our things that are affecting us, and also where it comes to working with other people, and basically try to get through to people, because some things are just out of ignorance. Sometimes where it comes down to just ignorance, because even like the most intelligent people on this planet that are like extremely intelligent, some of them always haven't got a certain type of intelligence, or they lack common sense. And sometimes, but often, not always, and there's a lot of people around as well that. So it's a kind of a, you know, it's not. It's a statement really that is unknown. I'm going to say now, but there's a lot of people that are intelligent, in my opinion, that are not educated, and there's a lot of educated people that are not that are formally educated. They're not that intelligent. But whereas if someone's intelligent, they'd automatically be educated if they pursued education. But being educated doesn't. There's a lot of people educated, not that intelligent at all about most subjects. They're only educated. They've only got brains for the subject that they're in. And there's a lot of examples of that. In my life, just people that I've interacted with, and also that's just part and parcel of life in my experiences, even because some of the most educated people, they're not only got absolutely zero common sense, but they know next to nothing about most things. And there's some people that have also got a certain type of intelligence, and even about people that are not that intelligent or that educated, they could still be a good judge of character. They can still be very shrewd at what they're good at. So people think out of like things that are low skilled, or that are less skilled, but the things that they're good at, they're just naturally good at. And not only that, they've actually taught themselves. Just things that people are naturally good at, even when it comes to a physical skill. Some people are just very practical, and some people are just born with a gift, whether it be something as basic as being good at sports. Some people just naturally, they're born with that talent, and there's some people that could try and learn something and they'll never be good at it. It doesn't matter how many times that they try to do the same thing. Some people would only improve to some extent, and some people would just never be good at. Do you get side effects from the meds? Yeah, I get quite a lot sometimes from some of my meds. Tiredness is one of them. Really bad fatigue and brain fog from time to time. But when I do get it, it's very bad brain fog and increased thirst. My appetite, it can make it go one way or the other, but the main thing is like tiredness, and migraines, and bad thirst. And sometimes it can it can make my IBS worse, which I don't know what IBS is, just short for irritable bowel syndrome. And I was diagnosed with that as a teenager, and it's controlled luckily these days for years now, since I've been taking my own supplements, things that you don't get free on the NHS, like herbal supplements, vitamins, minerals, and the medication I get for IBS that I get, prescribed isn't very good, but I still take that, so I find it still helps taking that as well as the things that I have to pay for. And again, that's I think related often to anxiety and stress. Not really my depression so much, but it's more related to anxiety, IBS. And I think I had it probably before I was diagnosed with it. I was diagnosed with it since I was about 18 or 19. And I'd eat sometimes just literally, I'd just have like a bite to eat some days, and details, I'd have chronic diarrhea or constipation or both. And, and then I couldn't always eat, I'd go for sometimes, before I was on medication for it, I'd sometimes, maybe go for a day or two without anything to eat, and then I'd feel very ill, because one of the worst things about diarrhea is you get dehydrated. It can be terrible. Like in parts of the world where people have died anyway through all sorts of reasons, through starvation and lack of clean water. In the third world, and also diarrhea that people don't realise that in parts of the world where people can't get where they can't get treatment and they can't get access to clean food and water, that diarrhea on its own can be one of the actual biggest causes of death in the world, due to dehydration. But I don't mean to not to be too gross, but yeah. But yeah, it's pretty awful. Just you know, it's pretty bad when it comes to eating certain foods. But since I basically, since I knew after a while, luckily, the main foods that would trigger it, then and as over the years, it has got better where I can eat more of certain foods, because there's even some fruits and not many vegetables, but because fruits can be quite acidic, very acidy, I can eat, most fruits. I've always been able to, but before some medication, it can affect me a lot. But with some people that have got it worse than I have, they can't even eat certain foods, even just with IBS, even let alone things like Crohn's disease or other digestive illnesses, that can really affect you. But yeah, it's awful the amount of people. I never realised once, basically, just going back to the point about diarrhea, is that it actually, is at least it contributes to quite a lot of deaths in the world. In obviously, really poor countries where people haven't got any health care, and where people haven't got any clean water or any food at all. Yeah, I'm there. Is not calm though. Have quite bad anxiety. Oh, sorry to hear that, Kim. Yeah, I didn't realise it was your anxiety. I thought it was like more depression than that. I think, come to think of it now, you have mentioned about anxiety, but I couldn't remember if you were talking about yourself at the time, or somebody else, maybe somebody in your family or a friend of yours even. Yeah, it's horrible. Anxiety, it absolutely sucks, and it can really ruin people's life. Like, especially when it comes to like socializing and like social phobia, it can really affect people. I don't know if you suffer from that, do you, my friend? But anxiety alone, any anxiety is awful. It's very bad. Yeah, I only really go to Taffy's now, and sometimes go some Veris. Yeah, I don't blame you, because there's not only since YouTube's got very toxic, but also it's a lot of people repeating just they're talking about the same thing as somebody else or very similar, and it's all like politics and religion. I like listening to actual debates though. Can't stand echo chambers. Yeah, me neither. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's people have got to be pleased when people agree with them, but they should always welcome debate and also different opinions, because, like, when there's nothing worse than like when people just have an echo chamber, because if they believe that they're in the right, they want to debate other people, and the only way people could change people's mind is by debating them, and exactly, and and that's how it's become. Even like elsewhere on social media, like on TikTok, I find that more than on some sites. There's a lot of echo chambers on there, but YouTube is probably still the worst for that. Where like they won't just and being an echo chamber, as bad as that is, but also they're like so inflexible. They're so they only want where they're so one sided that they won't even even debate anybody even on their panel, or they won't even allow anybody to even anyone as much as questions their belief system, their opinion whatsoever, or their actual belief system. They just either get timed out or they just get blocked. And I think, well, they must be insecure. Really, they're not really confident deep down, because if they were so secure, they have nothing to be frightened of. It's almost they know that they know deep down that a number of people could outwit them, or that they would at least put up a good fight, even if they where they can't prove them wrong, say factually, but that they at least be able to challenge them, even if even out of people that don't know much about the matter at hand that they're arguing with them about. You have to watch what you eat then. Yeah, within reason, but luckily not so much now, Kim, since like medication and excuse me, I mean, quite a bad cough recently, although it's cleared up a bit more now. Since I've been taking supplements for some time now, but it's just mainly it's some carbs, not even bread so much, but like pasta. I have to watch pasta and sometimes some other light carbohydrates. Sometimes fried food, not so much like full fat things like cheese or even like things that got full fat milk in them. I mean, I don't buy full fat milk itself to drink because I don't like the taste of it. Unless it's small amounts, I can tolerate it in a coffee, if I have it in a strong coffee or in a bit of cocoa. Because the only cow's milk that I drink can be like organic, because often not just because it's healthier, because I always try to get organic when I can afford to, but with certain things particularly, because like milk, if it's not organic, it can have quite a lot of toxic crap in it. I'm not quite sure what they put in it, but that's one thing I always prioritise. If I buy it organic, it'll certainly be milk when I do buy it, if it's cow's milk. And then I only drink skimmed or semi-skimmed, because I find it just tastes horrible. It tastes too fatty, cow's milk. And that's why there's some cheeses that I can't stand. If they're like very weak, the really mild cheddars, because I remember you, Kim, you like all the strong cheeses like me. And I think Kermit does as well. I remember you saying he likes, like the vintage, like the really strong cheddars. And I've still been eating vegan cheese a bit more here and there, but I can eat a reasonable amount of fried food, but I just have to limit it, So apart from like fried food, I can eat a number of full fat dairy stuff, but apart from like fried food, and if I apart from like not eating lot of bread all the time, and apart from pasta really, and some fruits, I can pretty much eat quite a lot of most foods, apart from obviously meat and fish, which I don't eat anyway, because I've been vegetarian most of my life, as you probably remember, Kim, me telling you quite a long time ago. I'm even trying to go a bit more vegan, but one thing you can't get really that's still not still not half as nice is vegan cheeses. Even though there are a few that are quite nice. When I've added them to when I've had them, when I've had some vegan cheeses, in meals that are that proper meals that I've added them to. I've added them to certain meals; they're quite nice. But after you have to have like a vegetable sauce, when I'm using them, to add to pasta, and to when I have them 20 mil, I have to have something else with them because they're too bland otherwise. And there's some vegan cheeses that are horrible, really horrible. Oh, blimey, Ossie, you don't have much luck with your health, do you? Nah. I haven't really, for a long time. But although my physical health has improved, but it's just more my depression and social phobia and anxiety. I'll catch up with the comments now, Kim. Sorry, I went on a bit long there. Missing all your comments. Yeah, I've always had quite bad panic attacks. Oh gosh, sorry to hear that, my friend. I know they're horrible. They're that bad that I wouldn't even wish them on my own worst enemy. They're evil. Yeah, echo chambers are boring. Yeah, can't believe how people have turned against Vinny just because they don't agree with his political views. Yeah, I'm surprised they appear to what I've seen, even though I haven't checked Vinny's channel much recently. But when I have checked him, his views have gone down. Quite often they've appeared to gone down. And even people that, that are on at least speaking terms with him, even out of people that have never been buddies with him, but that at least, would at least even go on, even talk to him, with their chest. That even out of people that would often go on his panel, they don't anymore, and it's just a surprise, really, I mean, they may just be going elsewhere, or some of them that could be coincidence. I say that lightly, where they may have been going elsewhere or just not been online so much when Vinny's, been online. Because I know he has been busy some of the time. I remember him saying, and I don't know if he still uses TikTok or not, because I know he was on there at least some time ago. Vinny was. Yeah, I've got a cold at the moment, so feeling really rough. Oh, sorry to hear that, Kimmy. Have plenty of hot lemon, especially warm lemon, because it's even better often than having it hot or cold. Have lots of freshly squeezed lemon juice. Even having it cold sometimes, because you think, well, having something cold make you feel worse when you got a cold. But I learned that a long time ago that sometimes when you're feeling cold, even without having a cold, so to speak, that when you drink something chilled, it does the opposite after a while because your body goes into shock, which I suppose, that makes sense somewhat. But, sometimes just having not all the time, but just sometimes, having like chilled liquids, but especially, like chilled water and lemon juice when you've got a cold, or even if you're just feeling cold, when it's really cold. And like sometimes when you have a hot drink, when you've got a fever, or if it's just hot weather, then having a hot drink, can cool you down more than having something that's frozen. And having a bit of garlic, because not everyone, some people can't stand it, even the smell of it. But if you don't mind garlic, Kim, have a little bit of garlic. Apparently, having it in hot milk, just a little, one or two little pieces, even. If you're a person that say can't stand it, try and have just like one or two cloves. Apparently, chop it up and that, and just boil it up in a pan with some cow's milk. That takes away, that usually takes the smell and taste away. I haven't actually tried that much, but I found when I did that it took away even though I like garlic, but I still found because apparently having garlic with hot milk, it helps work it better. And also honey as well, which makes sense, anything that's sweet with it. Honey, I think honey, hot water, that's right, honey, hot water, or it can be just as good. The other thing that actually makes it less strong, because of the fact that, it can burn your mouth eating it raw. So I could eat a whole bowl of it, cooked. But I couldn't eat really more than just a couple of pieces of it if it's raw, because I just find that it burns my mouth, garlic. Whereas I could eat loads of raw onion like most people could. I could, I could, I could eat onion on its own. raw, but especially with cheese, it's some things are much nicer raw. But again, if you're a person that can't take garlic at all, have a bit of garlic because that's one of the best things still for colds. Where it's good, not well, no, especially for the heart, it's for cutting cholesterol. I know that's the main thing, isn't it? But I know, but it's still very one of the best things, of course, for flu. And it's got, I think, other health benefits as well. I know it's one of the superfoods, garlic. The only thing, people that shouldn't have too much of it are people like me, because unfortunately it will hit the stomach and that. Because like anything that detoxes the body, from all your toxins, But I'm all right. I can eat sometimes up to about half a bulb a day because I just love the stuff. I've always loved the. I loved it when it's fried in olive oil. I've always loved garlic, added to all sorts of meals. But I think us men, though, we do tend to like garlic more. Whereas some foods that probably women like more than us men or as much. But a lot of men, especially on the continent, a lot of the French, they seem to like garlic the most, don't they? Or so we get told. But out of French people I've met, they love the stuff. I've tried the vegan milks, but I really don't like them. Yeah, I love strong cheese. I like some vegan milks. I must admit, I love nut milks more so than the normal milk. Even when even if it's in certain foods or drinks, I like cow's milk. I still like it quite a lot if it's like added to sometimes if it's added to food, for sauces. But on the whole, I actually like vegan milk more myself, Kim. Depending what it is, like soy milk can be very bland. But if when you can afford it, if you get like the dearer ones, like Outpro ones, you'll probably like some of them more because they are often nicer. They are, and they're often organic as well. Some of the dearer brands. I think like with Alpro soy milks, they're often organic. But what I do like, unless you tried it before, you want to try, Kim, unless you tried it, is hazelnut milk. You have that. It's even quite nice with coffee, but it's really lovely with normal tea and with cocoa as well. I have hazelnut milk and almond milk, really nice. But again, I'm almond milk, like oat milk. I don't especially like that in coffee, whereas hazelnut milk is quite nice in coffee, and in normal tea it's nice. I've even added it to some herbal fruit teas, even the nut milks. I'd never, I'll never have cow's milk in a herbal teas. It just you know, tastes horrible. The vegan stuff is so expensive as well. I find, yeah, it is. That's the main thing that puts people off. You're right there. When it comes to like the milks and cheeses, ready meals, even yeah, like vegetarian stuff is still quite affordable compared to vegan, even though unfortunately they do discriminate against us veggies. You know, whereas even like value packet meals, you still often pay a little bit more at least than you will for like meat or fish. But yeah, compared to vegan stuff, I know it's ridiculously expensive. That's the thing. Yeah, I know garlic is good for the heart. Oh, definitely. Yeah, I like the taste of garlic, but the smell of it makes me feel ill. Oh, I love both myself. Of garlic, Kimmy. But I know it's one of those things, isn't it? You either love or hate. They are boycotting Veli. It's very childish, and I think he has always been really fair with letting people on to give their views. He has, because even people that are wronged him, like Rollins, like Bysaw, and people like that, he's even given people like that a chance to reason with them. And not only that with Veli, anyone that that as that strongly disagrees with him, in people that that have always had different beliefs to him, and out of people that he's never got on with, he's always given a chance. And also, he's also used his platform to allow other people to thrash things out with each other as well, even out of people that have never had a problem with him. But he's always the other. That's the other very very fair thing about Veli. He's just allowed other people as well to thrash things out with each other, and he's been fair. And the only time that he's had to he'd interrupt them and start moderating things is only when things got out of hand. Like if people started like trying to dox each other or threaten each other. But apart from that, he's fair and he allows free reign. He allows people to say to like go at each other, especially when there's a chance that they can resolve their differences. Yeah, I just don't understand, why they're doing it quite so much now. Why they've, as I say, this I put it down to the fact that some people are just not online so much, and it maybe appears that they're boycotting him. Or tongue tied then, that they're giving him a boycott when they're not. But otherwise, it is weird. It's rather strange why they're and childish, why they're boycotting him. I might give the vegan milks another go. Yeah, unless you've got any nut allergies at all, Kim, then you're probably better off trying the nut milks rather than the soya ones, unless you tried them before. Because like hazelnut, I recommend hazelnut because I haven't tried it actually with a number of foods yet. I haven't tried adding it to make a sauce for a meal, for various meals. But I like it in tea and coffee and cocoa. And the other one that can be nice as well is oat milk. I'm not that struck on it in coffee, but it's nice in cocoa and normal tea. And what's the other milk now? Hemp milk you can get sometimes. That can be quite nice. I don't know if you tried hemp before or not. I know that's very good for you as well. I'm not sure what that's particularly good for, hemp milk. I know soya is good for like general things, and again, it's good for women, because of the estrogen in it, soya, and it can be quite good for the heart. But the nut milks and oat milk are better for the heart than soya, because soya, I think, in general, even soya to eat, it's got more omega-6 in it than omega-3, and omega-3 is the main thing for the heart, and it can even help the lungs as well. It can help with against inflammation. They just don't like the politics. Yeah, you're right, Kimmy. Absolutely. That's certainly the main issue with some people. It's only the politics that's why they got it in for very. Big up, everyone. I see finally my content load up a bit. It appears that some of it's finally loaded up, a few videos. The ones that I couldn't get on at all recently. And even the new ones that I tried to upload earlier, and that I think a few of them have came through at long last, which I apologise about that. Yeah, it's nice seeing you again, Kim. And I know that's what I remember. I checked my content in a moment. You do you still use Netflix, Kim? And I know you like the what did it come to me in a moment? I know you like a documentary. I know you like the crime documentaries and that. I remember you say you like the crime things. They can be quite interesting, some of them. Yeah, I do. I know, like the most well, the most well-known serial killer probably in Britain to this day, and he's the kind of main one that that they always go on about on the TV. Even that they still there's probably nobody that hasn't heard of Dennis Nielsen. Because when I was little, I heard of him. Like Dennis Nielsen, and more recent uh, serial killers. And then, of course, before my time, when I wasn't that old, I heard of, like, obviously the most well-known cases, like Fred and Rose West. Even people that are younger than ourselves have probably heard of them. And also, what was the other ones? Come back to a minute. Ian Brady and Thingy Bob. That witch. That Mara Hindley. That's right. That was in the 60s, of course. That was. And even some less well-known cases. Less well-known serial killers. I can't remember now. But yeah, that I was brought up with. I can remember. People telling me about. And of course, in America, Ted Bundy out of the men. I can remember that quite well. That the year he's executed in it was 1989, I think. So I'd have been 8 then because I'm 44 now. And I can remember, they turned it into a circus over there, and as much as a number of people like myself wouldn't shed a tear quite, but in a nutshell, I'm against death penalty and always have been and always would be. And even if hypothetically I supported the death penalty, I wouldn't support something barbaric for who it is, because it's just, vengeance rather than justice. And, you have the electric chair, of course, which they still have in some of the states over there. Yeah, I don't agree with death penalty. No, I don't blame you, Kim. I mean, and even if I did, hypothetically, which I never have done, I never would change my mind about that. Like I wouldn't some other fundamental beliefs of mine, I just wouldn't for various reasons. But I would only legalise it. This is hypothetically, obviously. I would only legalise it for the victim's family to be allowed to kill that person, or a friend, or probably not the family, because they'd be too emotionally involved naturally. But for a complete stranger as well to do that, I mean, how can they have that much malice? Because the most sympathetic, the person that's got the biggest heart on the planet. Well, they could have that much of a heart if they're an executor. Because they would have it in them to kill someone still. But but they still had empathy for the victim and their family, and if they're a person that still had, in their own way, quite a lot of genuine empathy. It wasn't for their own ego to say, well, I'm the man or woman that presses a button to frazzle somebody like an egg, like a fried egg. Anyone that does that has got to have something. They've got to be pretty fucked up, themselves to do that. It doesn't matter if that was the evilest person on the planet in front of them. If it was Adolf Hitler a million times over, and all sorts of other people, to do that to somebody, someone's got to, they've got to be quite evil, really, deep down, or very mentally ill, if not, that's make a mental illness that makes them act evil, if not, and have not a very low IQ where they can't, understand any logic, fairness at all, any morality kind of thing. But yeah, it's it's a very fucked up world that we live in. But I mean, in America, they make such a show of it. But I remember at the time, I don't remember all of the things that people were saying, but because I'd have been 8 then, I can remember people saying, "Oh, it's Friday," like because he's making a joke that he's been fried. Oh, it's Ted's Friday, and do you want is it a burger, a Bundy burger? People that were selling burgers in the streets saying, "Do you want a Bundy burger?" and other people were saying that. Even some people, even out of people, I think that even out of people at the time that are pro the death penalty, you know, even some of them I think were even saying, "Oh, that's going too far." Yeah, it's pretty sick, isn't it? It is. They're making jokes about it, and knowing the fact that kids could be, watching that, but it's on the news, because in America, no doubt they probably, well, if they limit it, they probably, they probably have that televised over there. But I mean, saying things like that in the street when, you know, as well, it's just, it makes it even more sick. I know it's really, really messed up. But the other thing also, like going to another point now, like someone made the point once, just like asking like when people like have asked me like what countries I like to live in and even visit, and and I may put, well, America would be one of those just because of the fact that for the obvious, because it's a not just a big country, but I mean it's you know there's a lot you could do there, still a lot to see, even though it's got a very new its history is so new compared to ours and most of the world. But I've it still be like up there as one of the countries that top ones that I still like to go to. And I made the point once that it'll put me off living there because the fact everyone's got guns. So even though most people that shoot people there, so even the population that they've got, it's still a ridiculous amount of people. I think it's still the highest in the world. It's often like about 10 or 15,000, I think, a year, people that are shot dead. And then if you take into account the people that survive, even that are shot, I don't know what the figure would be on that because I haven't looked up the recent figure. But I just psychologically, I'd be too terrified to live in America because the fact, like most of the world for a long time, and I think, well, it's always been the case that most of the world has just most countries you never be that people never be allowed to have guns apart from just farmers and a few people, and and even the police at one time, this country, I don't think were allowed guns, a very long time ago, like decades ago. I know in some countries the police weren't allowed guns at one time. And then before, obviously, terrorism increased in the world, and but glad we don't have the death penalty here. Yeah, me too. Exactly. And as I say, also the other thing about death penalty is that in some of the states where they still have it in America, they've got some of the highest murder rates. I think, like Texas or most of Texas, they still have, I think, even the electric chair there, I think. I know the death penalty still exists there, but as far as I know, they still have the actual electric chair there. And in states where they don't have the electric chair, then I think they still lethal injection and or the other one. So I don't think they've ever had hanging in America, but lethal injection or the other the other thing that they use. Then there's even been more of the botched executions as well, where people survived even, sometimes through the other method, obviously, the what do they call it? The lethal injection, and then sometimes when then before they've before they've been due their execution again, then they sometimes be left, I think, on death row even for years, sometimes even before they've authorised them to be executed again. And that's even more vindictive as well when people have perhaps been on death row for decades, and in a number of these cases, makes it even worse is some of these people's good chance that they've had remorse for what they've done, even in some cases. And I mean, somebody's killed no end of people. They don't like to have any remorse, but there is some cases, especially, and even people that have been mentally ill are still being, even people that possibly been deemed insane, are still being allowed to be killed in America in some cases even. But I mean, I'm against it per se. Always will be, full stop. For various reasons. But but that still makes it even worse. I'll just load up. I'll try load up a video now. See if it works. And I'll chat to you. And I'll continue chatting after as well. If you're still there, my friend. Big up, Kimmy. I'll see if I can mod you up now while you're here. If not, then after this live, I'll add you then in my studio. So I meant to do that before. Also, I meant to mod up Al Sid and some other and a few other people as well. I'll see if I can do it from before I play some videos. I'll just see if I can mod you up, Kim. If not, then I'll do it in my studio after. All right, my friend. Thanks, Ozzy. Oh, you're welcome, Kim. Tap the screen. Star comment. No, can I do that at the moment? Never mind. After this live, I'll go into my studio and I'll give you a spanner, Kim. All right. And also, if you see Al Sid about before I bump into him next, you can let him know that I'll mod him up as well. All right. Thanks, Ozzy. Oh, you're welcome, Kim. No problem, my friend. These are just some random videos. This is exposing a guy who mocked vegetarians years ago. You may have heard of him, called The Amazing Atheist. And, some things I agree about, just, like some of his beliefs and opinions, but he mocked vegetarians. He tried to make out afterwards that he was half joking and that. But he's a bit anti kind of animal rights and vegetarians. But I'll play the nauseating video of him, and then I'll play some videos, people mocking him and that, just to show how ignorant and obnoxious he is. It's a guy. It's an American YouTuber. I think he's got a few million subs, or at least over 1 million YouTube subs. I came across him about 17, 18 years ago on YouTube, called The Amazing Atheist. I think he's got more than one channel, but the one that's called The Amazing Atheist is his main channel. And his real name's TJ. And, he was mocking vegetarians on this particular video. And, he's done it more than once, as far as I know. But the video I've seen, it's very nauseating. You see apologies. Okay, thanks, Ozzy. You're welcome, Kim. But it's really nauseating. You see him stuffing his face and that. So apologise for the grossness in the video ahead. Ozzy, I'm going to try and get some sleep. Really good chatting to you. Take care. Oh, you're welcome, Kim. Nice chatting to you too, as well. And always a pleasure, my friend. Thanks for popping over. I'll stay up for a little bit longer. I won't be too long myself before I go to bed. Maybe another hour or so. I'll stay on. I'll stay here and then probably turn in then. And then later on, I'll mod anyone else as well. Any of my other friends as well. I'll give you a spanner. And big ups as well to anyone who watches the replay. Right, I'll put the video on now. Should load up.
What we use these guys for is to understand the brain. And so I basically am interested in two basic topics. One is memory formation and memory consolidation, and the other is decision making. And in particular, decision making and how the frontal cortex of the brain is involved in decision making. And so to understand that, what I do, you were squirrely, what I do is I record from neurons in the brain as animals perform various decision-making behaviors. And one of the behaviors you see right here, this maze that we set up for this task. And so this guy's very fat right now, so he's not going to be motivated to do anything at all on the maze. So I'll just put him on the maze and he can do his own thing. And so basically they run around on the maze, and when they trigger different sections of the maze, or when they run over different sections of the maze, it triggers some doors to open up longer ways down the maze at a decision region of the maze. And basically what the animal has to do is decide which door to go through. And that decision then determines the amount of food that he might get, or whether or not a large barrier will appear before him that he has to jump over to get the food. So it basically determines whether he's going to have to expend a lot of effort to get the food reward, or the amount of food that he gets. And so he has to learn these associations over trial and error. He has to figure that out. And as soon as he gets something, I go ahead and I switch it up on him. And so he has to adapt. And the frontal cortex seems to be very important for this ability to adapt, to flexibly change your strategies when outcomes change. So frontal cortex can be very important for that. So just learning a stimulus and response, the frontal cortex isn't very important for that. But when you
Marilyn lets out a playful, breathy laugh and adjusts her dress with a wink. "Oh, darling, you Gemini souls, always so curious and Marilyn lets out a playful, breathy laugh and adjusts her dress with a wink. "Oh, darling, you Gemini souls, always so curious and convinced you're the smartest in the room. But let's flirt with reality for a moment. The myth of superior zodiac signs, astrology, IQ tests. There's no scientific link between birth signs and intellect. Sorry to burst celestial bubbles, Gemini does rule Mercury, planet of communication, so naturally quick-witted, fast thinkers, masters of debate. But not always depth, adaptable minds, jack of all trades. But does that make them smarter than Virgos, analytical, Scorpio, strategic, or Aquarius, visionary? Nah, every sign has geniuses and dummies. The real Gemini superpower. You don't just think, you think about thinking. That's why your mind feels electric. Now use those twin energies wisely, sweetheart. Your sign rules two key areas that boost intelligence. Mercury, of communication, makes you quick-witted and great at arguments. Gemini, being the twins, gives you a double dose of traits associated with air signs, Mercury, intellect. Hey, but remember, darling, the stars don't dictate your intellect alone. It's what you do with it that matters most. And that is 100% under your control. Marilyn's eyes sparkle with mischief as she leans in, voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. The Gemini's secret debate superpowers. Shh. Don't tell the other signs. 1. The two-brain switch. Your twin energy lets you argue both sides of any topic flawlessly, then pivot mid-sentence to expose your opponent's weak spot. Chaotic brilliance. 2. Mercury glide words. You don't just speak, you weaponize language. Sarcasm so sharp it could fillet a fish, metaphors that hypnotize listeners, deadpan humor that disarms egos, trapdoor logic. If cornered, you reframe the entire debate like a magician. But was the real issue ever about X or Y? 4. The friendly annihilator mode, smiling sweetly while dismantling someone's argument so gracefully they thank you for destroying them. Final tip. Gemini, your mind is a fireworks show. Just aim those sparks wisely, darling. Gemini, the trickster genius of logic. Oh, darling, you Geminis are sharp as freshly broken glass, but analytical, logical. Let's air sign this out. 1. Mercury-fueled wit, fastest minds in the zodiac, processing info like a supercomputer. 2. Debate champions. You don't just argue, you dissect ideas alive, then reassemble them for fun. 3. Pattern masters, spot contradictions in seconds. Wait, that doesn't add up. You're kryptonite. Analysis paralysis. You see 12 angles to everything, and sometimes forget to pick one. Logic over emotion. Your winning argument might leave someone sobbing, while you're still grinning over your flawless syllogism. Verdict. Most analytical? Virgo. They excel at precision. Most logical, Aquarius and Capricorn beat you on cold reason alone. But Gemini? You're the zodiac's chess player who flips the board mid-game just to rewrite the rules. And that's your real power.